Do you have any kids, Lucas?
Oh, they're walking off.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust the others.
All right, if someone has somebody on bond or an issue right now, you need to take it up now. My understanding is that they didn't bring the person overdressed. So who is ready? Jesse Diaz.
See if he's outside good.
All righty. Yes. Mhm. And positive for. And did they know that he's on some type of medication?
I mean, he has.
I mean, what other medication?
This afternoon is gonna be
on?
state's evidence. About a day of defense evidence.
They'll find it.
We pled guilty, so it's a punishment trial. Then that will argue maybe tomorrow, but maybe Wednesday morning.
Okay. All right. Oh, no, we don't need the confirmation. All right. So is Mr. Diaz here? Oh, no, that's okay, Deputy Mejia. And who are you here for?
I'm up here on behalf of Natasha Manning, Your Honor. She's here.
All right, what page is Natasha Manning on, please? All right, what is the update on VTC?
So she was accepted.
Ms. Manning, come up, please.
Because she was being accepted.
Mhm.
At this time, we got that. Probation, not speaking with BTC, they stated that if you go into votes for referral open, planning on giving some mitigation, state. But I think we'd like to set some trials.
All right, who's the prosecutor you were conferring with? All right, so Attorney Galloway, when would you like this brought back? He's saying that Veterans Treatment Court will accept her. So.
Where we're at. Yeah, and like reach an agreement on the offer.
Mhm.
Okay, so I spoke with Mr. Munoz and was gonna see if I could get then, but I'm asking for house.
Well, whatever's we can facilitate, I mean. Or we can know. I know BTC's holding to the spot, but if you would like to reach out to the complaining witnesses and see if they'd be on board, would be amazing.
I guess that part would make it just here as there's.
All right, let's do this because I know you're saying a jury trial date. If you all want, we can recall it back on the 12th. And then if y'all are able to reach an agreement on the 12th, great, then it can be moved forward because I don't want to set it so far off that VTC is not holding her spot open if that's how this resolves itself.
I think that's a good idea. I think you're saying is like more so along as like a final plea bargain deadline date.
Mhm.
Just give it a chance to reach out to the CWs to see and the mental health issues that she have. Maybe those can be made available, like that information available to the CWs, and maybe they might be change their minds.
All right, Norma. All right, Norma, can we place this on January 12th? Is that date open?
Yes.
All right, so we'll bring it back on January 12th. Just make sure you stay med compliant if you're on medications. And then at that time, hopefully there'll be an agreement reached on disposition. And it counts if you'll make sure that VTC keeps the spot open.
Yes, sir, I'll make that.
All right, thank you.
Here.
Yes.
Before we can do the excuse.
Is he there?
January.
All right, are the witnesses, jurors here? Okay, just give me, you can have him brought out now, and then I'll take up these couple of resets, and then we'll go from there. Okay, just give me a moment.
Let me check it down there right now, see if they're in the back maybe.
All right, and Kelly Piddle, who do you have?
Judge Roland Del Garza, he's not out yet, so if you want to wait on him. Michael Moore.
All right, Michael Mora, which page? No, Michael Mora.
But I,
Oh, it's on page 14. All right. So can I see the paperwork on Michael Mora, please? Right, we're back on the record in 2023 CR 4008. Can I have parties announced? All right, and are you Mr. Mora? All right, you had entered a plea to violations 2 and 2 and probation
Yes, Your Honor.
in July, I'm sorry, in September. I had ordered an update on the psychological. Was that not completed?
I don't see anything in our system, Judge.
All right, and states you're asking for an evaluation,
Yes.
mental health? All right, have you received any diagnosis? And what is your diagnosis? All right, this is what the court will do. The court will follow your agreement. And the reason why I'm following the agreement, because it appears the mental health issues have not been addressed. So I'm going to deny the motion, alternate amend conditions to include, I'm going to want a mental health evaluation to see if he's eligible for the mid caseload. And who are you seeing? Is it through Center for Healthcare Services? All right, I want continued treatment through Center for Healthcare Services. And do you live alone? All right, and are you receiving any payment for taking care of her? Okay. And what do you do? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna want, how long is it gonna take to do the evaluation?
Your Honor, if it is out of custody, the earliest appointment is January 15th.
All right, Miss Ferguson,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna want this recall for a status update after January 15th. Let's put it on the 22nd. All right, so on January 22nd, we're gonna be back here. They should have an update for me on the mental health evaluation. Meanwhile, you need to continue doing what you're doing, okay? If there are any issues, let your probation officer know. If you feel they're not addressing it, you can come back here. Main thing, stay med compliant. If there are any side effects from your medications, you need to talk to the doctor about it. Don't just stop in the middle, all right? All right, is there anything else you need from the court? All right, good luck to you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I need it signed. That's okay.
Yeah, but you still don't understand the concept of overtime well enough. Back to the road.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Yes. All right, have him come up.
Mr. Diaz.
And what page is DS on?
Oh, he's on page, 5 at the bottom. Jay.
All right, why were you late for court?
Oh, no.
No, you were not here at 9. All right, so here's the thing, in this court starts at 9 a.m. So you need to calculate that there's a line. Do you understand? All right, today is your plea deadline date. So do you have an agreement or no?
We do not, Judge. I had asked for a jury trial with the state. Downloaded some more evidence today that they didn't do well, but they said they uploaded it now. So my suggestion is let us go ahead and keep a jury trial date, and then if we plead out before then, we will. Otherwise.
All right. State, how long do you expect this trial to last?
3 days, Your Honor.
All right, Norm, I need a jury trial date for 3 days.
4/3.
All right, February 3rd is your jury trial date. Once you sign the reset form, you're excused. All right, Norma. If you'll,
One of our.
Deputy Laura, I'm sorry, Deputy Laura. All right, where's, yeah, I'm used to Deputy Laura being, yeah, there you go. All right, as soon as the other deputy comes back, we'll bring the jurors in. Ah, we're waiting for your client. Yes,
Roland Del Garza, status.
which page is he on?
Page 5, 4 down to 4.
Okay, just one moment. All right. So I know that you were recently appointed on this case. Do you have all discovery?
I'm not sure yet, Judge. We were called the last week.
Yes.
They just decided not for- they also-
On the act, so.
This case has already been re-indicted once.
Yes, sir, sir, you can start writing. It said I didn't borrow.
How would you know once I look at that stuff?
All right, Norma,
It was definitive.
this needs to be recalled for January, please. Yes. All right, so you all will need to confer our docket and that will be your plea deadline day. You're welcome. Yes.
I'm just gonna reset them for setting.
Okay, just give me a second. Yes. Richard Escobar. Okay. All right, so where are we on discovery? Okay. And was an offer tender?
Not.
I think so. At our last time, it's like we monitored.
Yes.
We, that's where like the conversations about. Potential offers, the worst one, I think we're in the ballpark.
All right, Norma, set this for the end of January for plea deadline date and you all will have to confer our docket. What date?
I can do the 26th.
January 26th. All right, we'll see you back then. All right, thank you. Once you sign the reset form, you're excused.
I'm not.
All right, anyone else ready? Yes, anyone else? Okay. Yes,
Is the TV good?
I think we're good.
I was able to see you.
No, I'm talking about the screen behind me. Can you call someone from IT, please? Is this off?
I got you in red this morning. Got you in red this morning.
Oh, it turned off again.
Is that process? Well, oh.
We don't,
Okay.
oh, it's working. Okay.
Thank you.
Because if we don't have that working, then if you all have anything to display, the jurors won't be able to see it. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'll do that. Let me do that after we have a break and we'll take care of it. But yeah, forfeitures will be issued.
You don't need them.
You don't need them? So is this working?
Just for-
All right, you can cancel. They say it's working. All right, the court is calling 2023 CR 11452. 2023 CR 11453 State versus Jesus Prado. Can I have parties announced for the record?
Alvin and Megan Galloway.
And Ernest Acevedo and Jonathan Alvarado for Mr. Prado, who is now present in court.
All right, and are you Mr. Prado?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, John, I'm sorry.
All right, with regards to State's Exhibit 113, the court is going to sustain defense's objections in regards to State's Exhibit 113. However, the court is finding that that the defense now has notice of that. The defense has had notice of that since Saturday, is that correct?
Monday is when I got an e-discovery notice, but not till day of trial to actually see it.
But I guess when I told him about it was that Saturday. Yes.
All right, so the court is finding that the state informed the defense of State's Exhibit 113 on Saturday. The court, you're an officer of the court. The court will find that you had access to it on Monday. However, the court is going to find that you have notice of it now. You have ample notice of it. And if for some reason the defense opens the door, then State's Exhibit 113, the court will reconsider its ruling. Any questions? Does both parties understand the court's ruling?
Yes, everybody's understand their questions.
I think I understand the court's ruling, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, are both parties ready to proceed?
We are.
All right, if you'll have your witness retake the stand, please. And if you'll line them up. Good afternoon, and we can go off the record. So just so both parties know, with regards to State's Exhibit 113, I always like people to know why I'm doing what I'm doing, which in judges school, they say, don't do that, but I'm going to do it here. I was not able to hear the exact statements in any of the other evidence that I heard in State's Exhibit 113. So that's the reason for my ruling. But defense, you now have had time to prepare for that. And whether or not you open the door to the admissions of State's Exhibit 113, that's completely in your ballpark. All right, let's bring the jurors in.
All right for jury.
All right, so you're still under oath, but if you could restate your name for the record, please.
I'm Officer Nicholas Antoine Audrey. My name at the time of the shooting was Nicholas Antoine Swain.
All right, and if you could make sure that you just keep your voice up so everyone can hear.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. That's good. All right, state, it's still your witness.
Good afternoon, Officer Swain.
Good afternoon.
When we broke last time, you had just finished telling the jury about when we broke last time, you had just finished telling the jury about the extent of your injuries and the recovery that you had gone through. Do you recall that?
I do.
Okay. So the only questions that I have left for you are, number one, given everything that you went through, the physical recovery, the mental, psychological effects it's had on you and your family, why go back to being a police officer?
Primarily it's for the other officers. When we get called out to respond to these calls, there's no one else coming except for other officers. When I was shot, I had absolutely zero doubt in my mind that the cavalry was coming. It was just a matter of time. And whether they had to come from different sides of town or different units, I knew that they were going to be there. And for me, the way that I was treated by my department, by the fellow officers, after I was injured, how could I not go back during my family?
And the last question I have for you is, what would you like the jury to know about what you want to happen to Jesus Prado for what he did to you?
Mr. Prado tried to take our lives away. I think the punishment for that should be life.
Nothing further.
Defense?
Just a few questions, Judge. Officer Swain, thank you for your service. Thank you for your bravery. And thank you for being here today. I have a few questions that I want to ask you and go over with you. Just very quickly, I mean, you are back on the force, correct?
Yes, sir.
I don't think you told Melissa where you were assigned or the jury. Where did they put you? As soon, I guess, where are you right now as far as assignments go?
Currently, I'm on West Patrol Daylight, although on the 6th, that's when that transfer was. Before that, I was on Central Patrol Daylight for about 2 weeks for my return to duty.
Okay. Are some of the things you mentioned slowly going back to normal? Like, I know your wife took off time from school. Did she go back to school?
Yes, she's currently in a master's program right now. So she completed her course of study, and now she's in graduate school.
Okay. I know you talked about just the difficulty in feeling safe in society. Have you all gone back to more normal things like family vacations or going out in the city for events and things like that?
Yes.
All right. Now, as a police officer, you have arrested some people that have probably been pretty bad as far as criminal history, have a history of hurting a lot of people, things like that. Is that true?
My fair share.
Okay. Now, this is a little bit of a philosophical question. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But you do know, like Mr. Prado Jesse's never had any criminal trouble in his entire life up until this incident. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I've heard.
Okay. And there is no disputing the consequences of his decision that day. I mean, you would agree with that as well, right? I mean, the state has presented video evidence, testimony evidence of everything that went on that day in October of 2023. I mean, you know that as well, right?
Yes.
As a police officer, are you trained in the dangers of calls that can involve mental health situations?
Yes.
Do you agree philosophically that a person who feels the weight of their world coming down on them through either depression, severe loss, and possibly some brain trauma, that is mitigating in any way that a good person could make a horrible choice? Is that mitigating to you at all?
I too have had a severe concussion that required me to relearn how to speak again. Back in 2015, I had a motorcycle accident, and I was in in San Diego, at the Naval Hospital over there. I was there for about 8 to 9 months. And instead of taking the money and running with my medical retirement, I decided to stay in and complete my term in the Marine Corps. So I am absolutely aware of the effects of a concussion. It's terrible. You wake up like feeling like a completely different person, especially when you add medication to that. At the time I was on oxycodone, the withdrawal effects of that, the emotional outbursts, anger in my case. I don't know what his personal experience was. However, I can say that for me personally, all those obstacles were absolutely something that could be dealt with.
And I mean, obviously, whenever you have, what I mean, I guess let me ask the question this way. My initial question was about whether it's mitigating, whether it's somebody who's clinically depressed, experiencing severe loss, heartbreak, might have some brain injuries. Is that more sympathetic in one way than a person who has made choice after choice after choice to be mean and ugly and to hurt people with, assaults or emotional abuse or things like that? Is there a difference between those two kinds of people?
Yes, the person who had multiple assaults probably had a gradual descent into that. For Mr. Prado to be faced with these sorts of obstacles and immediately raise himself to the highest level of deadly force against innocence, to me, any sort of mental illness does not mitigate that. Now, you were speaking about philosophically. What do I think about this case? I think that everyone in this room and part of society, civilized society, takes part in the social contract. And it's a part of the justice process to deal out justice so that the individual who are victimized do not personally have to deal with that. So that the people who are victimized don't have the burden of punishing someone else. And so I can come here and I can testify. But ultimately, it's up to the court and the justice process to figure out what is the correct punishment. If you're asking me personally, no, I do not believe that.
Okay. And if you're going to be fair to Mr. Prado on this particular issue, the person who suffered the most damage probably isn't the best person to decide what that punishment is, because there's no getting around the fact that you personally were more affected than anybody else in this case with what you had to go through. Would you agree with that?
No,
Don't agree with that.
I think my son is the one who is most affected by this. And I want to be able to go back to him and tell him that he never has to worry about him, Mr. Prado, for the rest of his life. Because he has fundamentally changed. And he was 3 years old when this happened. And he saw my recovery process. And even though he is healing through that process and through whatever trauma that he is completely different. And I have no idea how his life is going to be affected positively or negatively for this. However, based off of what I've seen with his experiences in school, with his social issues with other children, but also with authority, I signed up for this. He did not. My wife did not. I personally would say that they were affected by this the most. Not.
All right. Now, do you believe that rehabilitation is a factor to consider in a case like this?
Again, for me, that is not my position. I think that's the judges and the justice processes position to figure out and determine what is best. Me personally, again, coming from my own biases, and I can tell you from my experience, I think people can change if they want to. However, most people just become more and more like themselves. So now that Mr. Prado has opened the door to this, if he's granted leniency, whenever there's something else that comes up that pushes him towards this direction, whatever level of stress that he's dealing with, it's going to be easier and easier for him to think, well, I already did this before and I'm already out. And that's what I'm worried about. Again, you're asking me personally. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, I mean, you agree there would be people that would have a different opinion than that too, though. I mean,
Absolutely.
okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your answers and I appreciate you being here, officer. I have no more questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions? Is this witness excused?
Yes, Judge.
Excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means, you're not allowed to discuss your testimony or review anything about this trial until its conclusion.
Yes,
All
Your
right,
Honor.
you may step down. Make sure you move the square microphone. Thank you. State, call your next witness.
Thank you.
State calls paramedic Campbell.
All right, thank you. All right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, if you'll lower your hand, make sure you keep your voice up so everyone can hear, and if you could state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is James Campbell and last name is Campbell.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Mr. Honor, thank you. Good afternoon. Could you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury and let them know what you do for a living?
So my name is James Campbell. I'm a fireman with the city of San Antonio. And at the time the occurrence, I was a paramedic on an ambulance. And as of now, since August, I'm back on a fire truck.
How long have you been with SAFD?
A little over 18 years.
And please explain to the members of the jury a little bit how you go from being a fireman to a paramedic or an EMT or whatever the procedure is there.
So the lowest you can be in the city of San Antonio is a basic. Everybody is an EMT, every single person working in San Antonio Fire Department. And you start off as a basic and you start off on one of the fire vehicles. When you promote, I'm now an engineer. So I went from fireman to engineer. About 90% of us get pulled into EMS and we're placed onto an ambulance after going for about 9 to 10 months of schooling. And the 9 to 10 months of schooling is about 2.5 years worth of schooling that you typically get for being a paramedic. And it's kind of condensed for us because that's our complete job at that point. So we go through the 9, 10 months and then we're placed out in the field. We're overseen a little over a month. And then after that, we're on our own with a partner in the back of a ambulance as we ride around, make calls, do everything else. But the highest you can go is paramedic and the lowest you can be is a basic.
Okay, and you're currently a paramedic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what kind of training medically do you have to go through to be able to hold that certification?
So initially it's about 6, 7 months of schooling and about 2.5 months of clinical inside of a hospital and in the back of an ambulance. There's a lot of, we're also placed inside of a cadaver lab. So we work on cadavers to learn a lot of our procedures as well. We do everything from simple first aid to there are a few extreme life-saving techniques that we work on as well. And then they're being part of City of San Antonio, right now, we're the #1 paramedic group in the, from what we've been told, we're the #1 paramedic group in the world. So we also do a few experimental things as well. Some of those experimental things are working out and it's starting to spread throughout the US, kind of like giving whole blood. Another one is finger thoracostomies, where we, somebody who's had extreme trauma to the chest area, we open them up on the sides and we try to get blood outs to allow the heart and the lungs and those kind of things to refill and to operate on their own, because you can get a compartment syndrome in there where the blood fills up and it basically keeps everything from working.
And so on October 19th of 2023, were you on duty as a paramedic?
From what I recall, yes.
And did you have occasion to assist in treating Officer Nicholas Swain that day?
Yes, ma'am. I was the lead medic.
And did you write a report regarding your treatment of Officer Swain that day?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm handing you what I've marked as State's Exhibit C, just for identification purposes. Do you recognize State's Exhibit C?
Yes, I do.
And is State's Exhibit C a fair and accurate copy of the report you generated about the incident that we've been talking about?
Yes, it is.
I'd ask that you use it to refresh your memory. Just please don't read directly from it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell the members of the jury about the circumstances that prompted you all to get dispatched to this location and assist.
Well, we were eating dinner and then the call came through and it said, officer down, which we, with officer down, we're not sure exactly what's happening until we get out in the unit. We start reading the report or the notes that come from dispatch, and from dispatch, it said that an officer had been shot. So, we hop in, we got there as quickly as possible. My ambulance was the first one on scene. We got out, we started yelling, who shot, where are they? And a PD car was there. They opened the back door, they pulled Mr. Swain out, brought him over, we threw him on the stretcher and we got him back in the unit. And we started to assess him at that point. What that means, we get him in there, get it as closed as possible, and just basically start removing everything off of him. We're trying to get his vest off, we're trying to get his clothing off. Anybody in trauma, we call it trauma naked. We try to get them down to pretty much everything but the bare essentials, like maybe underwear and a bra or whatever the case you may be wearing. And a lot of times those have to come off as well. But we're looking for bleeding first, looking for bleeding from the gunshot wounds, bleeding from any type of bleeding, cuts, whatever it may be. And we had assessed and noticed that we noticed at the time was he had a hole from a gunshot wound in his right wrist. And then he also had, I'm trying to remember, let's see here. Pretty sure it was the right leg. He had a bullet wound in the right leg. Yeah, right leg just below the waist. Found those. We had more fire units coming on scene. We had more PD units coming on scene. People trying to get in and out of the ambulance. We were trying to keep. It's very chaotic at one of these. What we tried to do is to get as many fire personnel inside there working, because we tend to work very well together and we know what we're doing. And, somebody jumps on, what do you need? You get this, you get this, you get this. Understandably PD lamp, trying to keep some of them back a little bit, and we're trying to report to them what's happening. We get as many on there. We've tried to find somebody to drive us down to BAMC. BAMC is where we decided to go.
I'm just gonna interrupt you real quick.
Sure.
Before we get to the transport of BAMC, I want you to tell the members of the jury a little bit about what you visually saw
Okay.
as far as his injuries. Describe for them the hole to his wrist and the gunshot wound to his leg.
Okay, so the hole through his wrist appeared to be about a $50 size hole. It was at the top of the hand, and or excuse me, the bottom of the hand, top of the wrist, right here. You can see right through it. Hand looked a little grayish, starting to look like maybe he wasn't gonna be able to keep it. Luckily, the gunshot also stopped the bleeding in the hand. The bleeding in the hand may also been from the amount of blood that he had lost. He had blood going through his pants, through the right leg. He also had a tourniquet on over the pants. We did the best we could. We were assessing. We saw that he was still bleeding from the hole in the leg. So we cut the pants, readjusted. My partner readjusted the tourniquet, got it down to where there was pain and where the bleeding had stopped. And when you're putting on a tourniquet, one of the things you look for is you're causing pain, and that means you're getting it tight enough. The tourniquet is a very, very painful thing to have on, but you need to stop the bleeding because he was shot through the femoral artery and blood was just continuing to come out. And in the run, when you're looking at a lot of his vitals, the vitals are telling you and the vitals are showing you that he's losing blood and he's dying.
And we're gonna talk about that. As far as the injury to the leg, do you remember, can you approximate for the jury, if you recall how big or small the hole was in his leg?
My end, it looked like a typical bullet hole. I mean, it's hard to say because whether you have or have not seen a bullet hole. Typical bullet hole usually, I would guess, is about the size of a dime. Now, that's what you see on the outside. What's inside could be very different depending on what kind of bullet, what kind of penetration or what is in there. So from us, you just see a hole and a lot of blood coming out of it. And we don't have x-rays, we don't have that kind of stuff, but you see what's happening. So best way to take care of that is with a tourniquet or cover it depending on where it is.
So now I want to talk about the vitals. When you first get your hands on the patient, you take an initial set of vitals so you can get a baseline. Is that correct?
Yes, after you've gotten them trauma naked, you assess the bleeding, stop the bleeding. One of the other guys, or a bunch of the other guys, are starting to get arm cuff on to get their blood pressure. We're trying to get reading from the heart. We're trying to see his O2 sats from his finger. And then if possible, they want glucose, and sometimes you get that, sometimes you don't. But all of this is going on at the same time because we've got a lot of different people doing different things.
And so looking at the report, the first set of vitals, what are they telling you about his condition?
So the first set of vitals is telling me that he's in a pretty poor condition.
What are the vitals?
So the BP is 85/51. Typical good BP should be 120 something over 70 something. This is very, very low. So when we're looking at a high BP, we look at the diastolic, the second number. When we're looking at low BP, we're looking at the first number, and it's below 100. That's not good. And his pulse is down. Pulse of 76 for somebody who is in a traumatic situation should be a lot higher. Should be like 150. You're amped up. Should be going. 76. He's on his way out. It's low, and his O2 sat you want 94 or above, and anything below 90, it's an exponential drop on your way out, and he's at 77.
Okay. And the time of those vitals was at 7:16 p.m.
Yes.
And then the next set of vitals, which are 5 minutes later, what are they telling you?
So we're giving him an IV. We're also we don't have a whole lot with us, so we're trying to get his numbers up, and we're basically and explain a little piece first. Okay, he needs whole blood. He needs blood. Your typical ambulance doesn't carry blood. Our medical officers carry blood, and our tactical medics carry blood. So giving blood is very new in the realm of paramedic medicine, and City of San Antonio is the one leading the world in that right now. What that means is we carry low titer O positive blood. Low titer means, so the international giver of blood and that can give blood to anybody is O negative. Less than 15% of people in the world have negative blood, but many people have O blood. And a male's O positive blood, you can make it a low titer, which means it makes it very low in terms of reactivity to other blood types. So in an emergency setting, we can give that to you, and you would have a very low reaction to it, if any. And O positive blood is carried by the blood bank. Our officers get it every day. The tactical ambulances get it every day. We carry it. He needs blood, but I don't have it. So I have to give, all I have to give him is a little bit of saline. And saline is not necessarily the thing you want, but it's what I had. So I gave him a little bit of saline, and his blood pressure is starting to come up. What that means is I now have circulation going through the body. The problem is because it's saline, my pulse is still dropping, and my O2 set luckily is kind of leveling out. And that's because I'm getting blood moving through the body, but it doesn't have enough blood in there to really help.
So what were the stats 5 minutes later?
95 over 58, pulse of 49, it's dropping, and then O2 stat is kind of level, so it's at 78%.
So from the first reading at 7:16, his pulse was 76. 5 minutes later, down to 49. Is that a significant drop?
Yes. Huge.
And then 4 minutes later at 7:25, what are the stats telling you then?
It's worse.
Tell the difference.
So because of the saline, basically I'm watering down his blood, when I'm getting it moving. His BP is 114 over 68. His pulse is at 34. And his O2 sat is starting to drop again, and it's at 73%.
What is a pulse of 34 for a male of Officer Swain's age and general health? What does that tell you about him?
He's dying soon.
He's lost so much blood, he's not.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
He's on his way out. I don't know
So
how else to put that.
No. however it is. So you mentioned something about medic units carrying blood and you don't have any. So while you're taking these vitals and they're dropping, are you in the ambulance on your way to Bamsey?
Yes.
Okay, so because his pulse had gotten so drastically and dangerously low, what decision was made by you and your team?
We called, and so even before we left the scene, we called for whole blood, called dispatch. Somebody was having a meeting somewhere in town, and it kind of pulled the medic officers down. So we said, we don't care, get us somebody, we're on our way, this is the path we're taking. Medic 1, which is downtown, called and said, we will meet you halfway. So they shut down I-35. We met with Medic 1 out on the highway, stopped everything, got medics off of Medic 1 and their whole blood on board, added more IVs and just started pumping whole blood into them.
Okay, so this was such an emergent situation that they shut down traffic on the freeway.
Yes.
And you were able to give him the whole blood right there on the side of the road.
We start, as soon as we got the needles in, we started moving again. We started pushing the blood as we were moving.
And then do you see his vitals start to come up after that?
Things are starting to get better, yes, ma'am.
And so at 11 minutes after the last reading where his pulse was 34, what are the vitals looking like now?
So we now have 128 over 80. We have a pulse of 120. And so one of the other IVs that one of the tactical medics got were in his right arm, and it knocked, trying to remember, right arm, and then we just accidentally knocked off the O2 set, so we don't have one at that point. But we have the other two numbers, which are even more important, and that's 128 over 80 and the pulse of 120. So that means the blood is in it, it's starting to circulate, and it's starting to work.
Okay, and then the reading 2 minutes later, you did get the O2, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
100%.
Okay.
Because that means, so try to explain that your red blood cell is the number one thing in your blood that you need. red blood cell is able to carry 4 oxygen molecules. And what this is reading is it's reading the percentage of oxygen on those red blood cells as it's going through. And if you have water in your system and you're pushing up the BP, you're not giving oxygen to the rest of the body. And the heart is working and the heart's trying to pump. And that's where earlier you saw the pulses were dropping because they weren't getting any oxygen because there wasn't any blood. They're just pumping water. Water's not going to do much. So once you get the whole blood in there, that's when you see that pulse just jump way up because the heart's like, yay, I'm getting oxygen. And it just starts running again. And then pulse, the BP's up, it sustains, and then it goes up a little more, which is just wonderful. And the heart's starting to level out as well in the rest of the vitals.
And so, what happened after you were able to give him this transfusion? You go into family.
Just a handoff at BAMC. Give them a report, told them what we did. Doctors were happy, everybody was happy because he got blood, and from that point on, it's kind of like we are. It's just a bunch of ants running in, and they start doing their thing, and we just have to get out of the way.
If he hadn't gotten the blood, would he have made it to the hospital alive? No. Nothing for everyone.
Defense?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
He's excused from the statement.
All right, if you're excused,
Yes.
all right, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to share your testimony or review anything about this case until the case concludes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you'll remove the square microphone, please. And you may step down. State, call your next witness.
The state calls Dr. Lowe.
Oh, just leave that to court report. All right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Just keep your voice up so everyone can hear. If you'll state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Joshua Lowe, Lowe.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Dr. Lowe, how are you currently employed?
I am currently an attending physician at Brook Army Medical Center. I'm also an associate medical director for San Antonio.
Okay, and can you please explain to the jury your educational background and professional training that qualifies you as a medical doctor?
Yeah, in addition to medical school, I am board certified in emergency medicine and fellowship training in pre-hospital medicine and disaster medicine.
Okay, and are you licensed to practice medicine in the state of Texas?
I am.
And how long have you been licensed?
In the state of Texas, I've been licensed for 2 years. I've been licensed as a physician since 2018.
And what does your practice consist of there at BAMC? Is that like an acronym for Brooks Army Medical Use?
Yes, ma'am. So BAMC is one of 2 level 1, which is the highest level trauma centers, not only in San Antonio, but in all of Strath, the Southwest Texas regional.
All right. And so as an attending physician, are you there in the ER?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you guys receive income traumas?
Every day.
All right. Now, were you employed as a medical doctor on October 19th, 2023 at BAMC?
I was.
And on that day, did you receive a patient by the name of Nicholas Anton Swain?
I did.
Okay. And can you describe the condition that he was in when he arrived in the emergency room?
He was brought in by San Antonio Fire Department, directly into one of our 2 main trauma bays. And he had a gunshot wound to the inner right thigh with 2 tourniquets in place. His pants had already been cut by the paramedics, and he had a bleeding wound from his right wrist.
Okay. And upon arrival, was he in stable condition, or how would you describe this condition?
He was in stable but critical condition. By that point, he had already had the 2 tourniquets in place to stop the bleeding and had received most of a unit of whole blood from the fire department. His blood pressure was low and his heart rate had gotten high at that point. He was in what we call shock, hemorrhagic shock.
Okay. At some point during his treatment, did you have to oversee life-saving measures?
Yes, the entirety of his care or his treatment under my care was life-saving.
Okay. And at some point, did he have to be resuscitated?
Yes, ma'am. The entirety of his care under my treatment was resuscitation to get him stable enough to go to the operating room.
Okay. Now I want to talk to you about the gunshot wounds that you described. So regarding the gunshot wound to the right leg, can you just explain to the jury what major arteries are contained in the right leg?
So when he came to us, we took the tourniquet down to make sure that there was arterial bleeding, and there was, which is pulsatile, and we put the tourniquet back up. Our initial concern was that he hit the femoral artery, which is one of the major branches coming off of the aorta. You can bleed out in 2 to 3 minutes from that. They found later in the OR after opening it up that it was the popliteal artery, which is a major branch off of the femoral artery.
And excuse me, if you could spell that artery for the court reporter, please?
Popliteal is Popliteal. And that one is a little bit smaller, but you can bleed out in about 10 to 15 minutes.
And then regarding the wrist wound, can you just describe what that was? It a through or what risk presented from the wrist?
Yeah, honestly, he got kind of lucky with that one. It completely missed both bones and went right through the middle. It was through and through. If it had been a millimeter to either side, it could have caused a lot worse damage.
Okay. Regarding what would be the normal heart rate for an individual such as officers in healthy condition?
Normal heart rate would be anywhere between 60 and 85 or 90. Someone of his age and stature.
Okay, and so someone or his pulse being at 35, what did that indicate to you?
Given the context of it, of the bleeding, he was likely in what's called stage 4 shock, which is the most grave form of shock. Which is after, when you start losing blood, your heart tries to keep the cardiac output up by making your heart rate go up so that it maintains the same. And he was starting to trend down at that point, and was well below where it was.
Okay, now, this downtrend, was that caused due to blood loss that he was feeling?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have an opinion as to the whole blood transfusions, impact on him?
Absolutely. And I don't want to say it was lucky, but he was lucky that this happened in San Antonio. We're one of only a few cities in the country that have whole blood in the field. By the time he came to me, he was already back into stage 3 shock, and his heart rate was up because of the blood he received in the field. I don't know what would have happened if he hadn't received that blood.
Okay. Now regarding the injury to the right leg and those arteries that you were describing, did injury to those arteries present like risk factors going forward?
The arteries, there's always a chance for scar tissue to form and for him to get decreased blood flow as he gets older. Honestly, the injury to the vein, which wasn't as bad in the moment, makes for the worst long-term outcomes. He's at an increased risk for the rest of his life of developing what's called a deep vein thrombosis, which is a blood clot in the leg that can break off and go to the heart and to the lungs.
Okay, and is that deadly?
When it goes to the lungs, it can be.
We talked about this.
Defense?
Thank you, Judge. Did you do any follow-up with Officer Swain, or is it like your time with him is just the emergency room time?
Right, yeah, I'm an ER doctor. The follow-up is usually done by the trauma surgeons and then the physical therapist.
Okay, and so your time specifically was treating him in the emergency room and then passing him on to surgeons, once he's stable. Is that correct?
Stable enough for surgery, correct?
All right. As an ER doctor, wanted to see if you could answer some questions that have some potential relevance in this case.
Absolutely.
As an ER doctor, you certainly have to treat head injuries sometimes. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Are you able to answer just general medical questions about what happens when a person has, what potentially happens when a person has a head injury so severe that they're unconscious for some amount of time, more than a few seconds for sure? Like, is there a term when a person's unconscious for more than a few seconds?
Traumatic brain injury, depending on the level, it can go from mild, such as a concussion, to severe, which could be life altering.
Some people recover from head hits so strong that they're knocked unconscious for some amount of time. Do you agree that some people recover and seem to have no lingering effects?
Correct.
Are there some effects that are sometimes subtle and very maybe nuanced?
Depending on where the injury is to the brain, you can have ongoing lingering damage that can worsen with secondary impacts or low blood sugar, things like that.
Is there certain medical and psychological testing that sometimes can test for whether a person seems to have some deficits from potential brain injuries?
There are, the military specifically uses something called an ANAM, ANAM. I don't know what that stands for, unfortunately, but they give it to all of our service members before they deploy, and then after. It's more of a trend. I can't tell you if you've had a head injury based off of those tests, if giving it to you once in time, but by giving you two separate tests in time, I can tell you fairly confidently if you've had a head injury in between those two tests.
All right. And as an emergency room doctor, do you oftentimes have to see people where you learn that there could be clinical depression involved in a person's mind?
Yes, sir.
And as a doctor, let me ask you generally, like, is depression sometimes misunderstood as just, like, hey, toughen up? Like, you know what, let me ask it to you this way. Like, if somebody has a cancer diagnosis, people usually take it immediately pretty seriously, and it can be, it's hardly ever understated, like something like that. Would you agree?
Correct.
Is there a difference, like when some people say like, oh yeah, he's depressed, where people kind of say like, oh, toughen up? Is that just something you see in society?
Specifically in the military, which is where I do 80% of my job, yes, there's a stigma around mental illness. On the civilian side, I feel like over the last couple of years, it's gotten less, but it's still there.
When a person is clinically depressed, like what does that mean? Like how is that different than just like, hey, I'm having a bad day? What's the difference between having a bad day where somebody hurt my feelings versus a person who's clinically depressed?
So by definition, in the DSM-5, clinical depression has to be going on for greater than 2 months, and has to have a negative outcome on the patient. The patient has to feel that it is affecting their life. If it's not going on for at least 2 months, and if the patient does not feel anything bad about it, then it's not clinical depression. It has to meet those two criteria.
Are both depression and potential brain injuries the kind of things that can affect somebody's judgment or decision making medically?
Yes.
All right. Now, I'll pass the witness.
State.
Just briefly, Dr. Remote, so hypothetically, not hypothetically, in practice, traumatic brain injuries tend to get better over time in most instances. Is that correct?
They at least reach a level plateau. They'll reach a point to where they get to a certain point where they've gotten better, and then they'll plateau. They don't tend to wax and wane.
Okay. And so if somebody did suffer or sustain a traumatic brain injury, those symptoms that they were experiencing from that, would they show sometimes and not other times, or would it be persistent?
For the most part, it'd be persistent. There are some things, depending on the part of the brain, severely low blood sugar, infection, things like that. where there's already stress on the brain can manifest itself as a little bit more, but for the most part, they would maintain.
Okay, and so hypothetically, if somebody had sustained a traumatic brain injury 10 years prior. Unless there are symptoms that are manifesting. It would be assumed that that was getting better, is that correct? The injury?
Yeah, unless they had, again, another insult on the brain, infection, low blood sugar, another head injury, they would be at their baseline level by that point or trending up. It wouldn't wax and wane.
Thank you. We've talked about it.
Any further questions?
One follow-up on that redirect, Judge. One thing I forgot to ask you is that if a person has one traumatic brain injury where they're knocked unconscious, that can be exponentially made worse if they have another experience where they have a second traumatic brain injury later on in life. Because when you compound brain injuries on top of each other, it can make it exponentially worse, not just like one to the other. Is that
Correct. If it's the same part of the brain that's hit, then it can get worse. That's how things like CTE in the NFL happen, is by multiple brain injuries.
And like in regard to CTE, the CTE, and can you tell the jury what that is medically?
It's, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Multiple injuries to the brain can cause buildup of amyloid plaque, similar to that you would see in Alzheimer's disease. And it's the only way that it can be diagnosed is at autopsy. Can't diagnose it on a living person.
Right. So, and that was going to be my next question. Like that, if injuries have started to go down that road, you can't tell as a doctor when the person's alive. That's just something that can only be checked after they're passed away and you do an autopsy.
Yeah, there are signs and symptoms. They'll have chronic personality changes, and things that you'd see every day.
Hmm. And I guess in regards to the NFL players, I guess there's been a lot more research on that over the past few years. But football players who, use their heads and have concussions repeatedly, certainly when they have found out that people have CTE, it definitely affects their judgment in life and their behavior and decision making and things like that. Is that true?
At least the high profile ones. I'm not a CTE expert. I know what I've learned just through the military dealing with people that have concussions. But the high profile NFL players seem to have judgment issues.
All right. Thank you, Doctor. I'll pass the witness.
Just briefly, so when we are talking about these head injuries and them getting better over time, you said that re-injury could kind of cause that progression and healing, is that fair to say?
That's correct.
And when we're speaking about re-injury, is that like physical re-injury and not like emotional re-injury?
Correct. Physical re-injury, or like I said, no low blood pressure or low blood sugars, infection, things like that can cause physical re-injury.
Any preference?
No further questions.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
You guys see her.
And excused by the defense.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not allowed to view anything about this trial or discuss your testimony with anyone until the trial has concluded. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you'll remove that square and you're excused. State, call your next witness.
State calls Tiki Oshry.
All right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. If you'll state your name for the record and please spell your last name.
My name is Tiggy Ogery, Augery.
All right, state you may proceed.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Ogery. Could you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Hi, my name is Tiggy Ogery. I am Nicholas Ogery's wife, previously known as Nicholas Swain.
Where are you from, Tiggy?
I'm originally from Arizona, but I grew up overseas, so I didn't come to San Antonio until I was much older.
And when did you meet Officer Swain or Ogery?
We met in the military. I was in the Navy for 6 years, so we were both Spanish and French linguists in the military.
And at some point, did you two get married?
Yes, we got married in 2019.
And were you with him when he joined the San Antonio Police Academy?
Yes, I was.
Was that a big deal for him?
Yes, I knew ever since the day I met him that he wanted to be a police officer. He had been telling me that ever since he was 8 years old, he wanted to be a police officer. It was a calling for him.
So when he went through the academy and was able to become a certified police officer, was that something that y'all celebrated?
Yes, I knew that it came with a certain degree of risk, but I was very happy for him that he was able to achieve this goal that he had wanted since he was a child.
You said that you knew that it came with a certain degree of risk. Tell the jury about kind of your initial, I guess, thought process when it came to being the wife of a police officer. Did it feel real to you that you could potentially lose him one day?
When he became a police officer, of course I knew that it came with the risk of him being hurt or worse. But I think that it didn't feel real to me in the moment. It felt like these sorts of things happen to other people. And my husband had won all kinds of awards for being most physically fit Marine, best cadet, most best Marine, all kinds of things like that. And so I think I looked at him like he was invincible. And I don't think I realized that until he was seriously hurt that he wasn't.
And you and Officer Swain had a child at some point, is that right?
Yes, we have a 5-year-old. His name is Tristan.
Was he proud that his dad was a cop?
Yes, very. Yeah, my little boy loved anything having to do with lights, sirens, fire trucks, police cars. So he was very proud to have a police officer for a papa.
Okay. So you mentioned that it didn't feel real to you at first. I guess not necessarily the possibility, but the likelihood that he could be seriously hurt. Tell the jury about the night you found out that he was shot.
I had been out. I was in school at the time, and so I was going through a lot of final exams and things like that. And so I had been out. My husband was in the habit of calling me whenever he was going to be late coming home, but I hadn't received a call from him. But I thought that maybe he had just been held up, and so I didn't really think anything of it. But it was late, and I had just put my little boy to bed. He was 3 at the time, and I was kind of tidying up the house and getting ready to go to bed myself and checking my phone to see if Nick had texted me when I got a knock at the door, and that almost never happened. So immediately I felt like something was wrong. I answered the door, and there was a police officer standing there, and I thought, my first initial thought was like I had done something wrong. Clearly, I had made too much noise, or I had left my trash out too long or something. And the first thing the officer said to me was, "Are you Mrs. Swain?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Your husband has been shot." And the first thing I did was laugh in disbelief. And I asked him where, and he said he didn't know. I asked him if he was going to be okay, and he said he didn't know. And I had to go and wake up my little boy, scoop him out of bed, and he was so excited to see a police officer standing in our living room. And I tried to gather up as many things as I can. I remember my hands were shaking uncontrollably. We got into the police car, and Officer Alvarez, who was our police advocate, he turned his lights and sirens on, and my little boy was sitting in my lap in the back of the police car, you know, just beaming with excitement because there were lights and sirens, and he was so excited, and he's asking me, Mama, what's going on? Where are we going? And I had to tell him, I don't know what's going on, just it's gonna be okay. And when we got to the hospital, it was just an absolute blur. There were so many people around. I had brought a stroller for my little boy. I strapped him in, but you know, he was trying to play and asking all kinds of questions, and people were trying to give me all kinds of information. I didn't have anyone to call to watch my little boy. So a very kind fellow officer offered to watch him that night because I had no one else to call.
So when you got to the hospital, what were you made aware of was going on with your husband?
I don't even remember who told me. I feel like information filtered through many people. But they had told me that he had been shot. I didn't know how many times at that moment. Eventually I learned that he had been shot twice, that actually penetrated his body. They told me all kinds of different things. I heard many opinions from many doctors. At first I heard he was lucky to still have a hand at all. Then I heard that he was lucky he hadn't slipped into a coma, that he was lucky he hadn't been outright killed. I heard that he would have to have many surgeries and that he would have to relearn how to walk again, and that he may never regain use of his right hand again.
How long were you, from the moment the knock on your door came and you were told he was shot, but they didn't know how bad, until you were told he's alive and going to make it, but it's gonna be a hard, long road? Do you know how long that was?
It felt like both hours and hours and minutes at the same time. I think I lost all perception of time. I think it was maybe an hour and a half.
How were you feeling in that time?
In shock, numb. I remember lots of people were asking me if I was okay and commenting on my lack of emotional response at the time. And I think I was holding all of my emotion in until I felt safe and things felt okay, because at that moment I felt like I needed to be strong for my son.
Is that what you were trying to do? Not let him see you, I guess, freak out, for lack of a
Right.
better word?
Yes.
Was there a time when you finally felt free to freak out?
Yes, I think it didn't come until Nick went home.
Okay. And what was that moment like?
When Nick first came home, the first thing he did was he went into our guest room that I had prepared for him. He closed the door and he sobbed for hours. And I think that was the first time that it really felt real to me, because I had never really heard him cry like that before. My husband's a very strong person and a very prideful man, and I had never heard something so raw come from him. And I think that's the moment that it really felt real.
Do you remember the moment that your son saw him for the first time?
Yes.
What was that like?
Nick and I talked a lot about whether or not it would be healthy for Tristan to see him in the hospital. And ultimately, because he was asking me so many questions about where's Papa, is Papa going to be okay, I decided to take him to the hospital and let him see Nick in the hospital. And we took him to the room, and he's, you know, was 3 at the time, so he didn't fully understand the magnitude of what had happened, but he did understand that Papa had needles all over in his arms and that he had a bandage on his hand, and you know, we had to be careful not to hurt him while he was trying to give him hugs. And we showed him the wounds because he asked to see, and we, you know, I kind of lifted up the bandages so that Tree could see the wound in Nick's leg. It was a huge wound, and it had been sewn up at that point, and there were tubes leading out of it with blood, sucking out blood and fluid, and it was gruesome. And I felt like in that moment it was important for Trey to see that because he had been asking me a lot.
When he got home, what were his physical limitations?
So many. He was not able to walk without a cane for a long time. He was not able to bathe himself. He was not able to cook. He was almost bedridden for at least several months afterwards. He was also on so much medication that he wasn't himself. He was sedated. And when he wasn't sedated and sleeping, he was not himself. He was angry. He was frustrated at not being able to move around. My husband at the time was 29 when this happened. And for me to watch him at the prime of his life go through something that was so physically debilitating, it's very difficult. I was the primary caretaker for our son. I cooked, I cleaned, I took care of him for months and months.
You were in school at the time this happened, correct?
Yes,
What were you in school for?
I was getting my BA in art at the time.
So when this happened, did you have to make some adjustments with your educational plans?
Yes, a few days after it happened, I had to drop out of my university completely because it was very apparent that I was going to need to take care of Nick full time. I was out of school for a year until I was able to go back and finish my degree.
What kinds of things did you have to do for Nick in that time that you were his full-time caregiver?
I think the thing that comes to mind the most when I think about that time is wound care. There was a lot of wound care multiple times a day. Every day I was changing his bandages. Nick was not able to do it because every time he would take off his bandages from his wounds, he was getting nauseous and lightheaded from seeing the amount of blood and infection and necrotic black skin and the smell. And he wasn't able to do it alone. So I was the person that was changing his wound care. Eventually it became sort of a routine. After a few months, we could, put on some music and he would lay down and we could laugh about it. But it was, I've never had to do something like that in my life. And it was a very intense experience, especially after taking him to appointments where he had to have necrotic dead skin removed for long periods of time. He was going through these very painful procedures where afterwards the wound needed to be washed out especially well so it didn't get infected even worse. Those were particularly bad times.
You mentioned that he couldn't do the wound care himself when it came to taking the bandages off because of the physical issues, but when he would take the bandages off and look at the wounds, would it affect him emotionally and psychologically as well?
Yes.
Explain that to me.
There were multiple times when I had to help him take showers. We found a shower chair that he could sit down in the shower because the medication and the pain was making him so lightheaded that it wasn't safe for him to stand in the shower, and he wasn't able to submerge the wounds in a bathtub. And he could barely stand the pain of any water even touching his leg in any way at all anyway. But when he stood up and saw the wounds, every time he would get into the shower, I could tell he was trying really hard to hold it together in front of me and not cry and not get frustrated. But there were times when I did see him look nauseous or look like he was going to even pass out. There were a few times when I had to support him while we were getting into the shower.
You said earlier on in your testimony that when you very first got back home, he locked himself in the room and cried, and you hadn't really ever seen that from him before. Did that happen on more than one occasion during his recovery?
Many times. Yes.
How many times prior to this incident would you say you've ever seen him cry in your entire relationship?
No.
So you're helping take care of him, wound care, showers, eating. Are you helping him eat?
Yes. He regained some use of his hand after a few months. We were constantly changing out the support, the hard support on his arm. And at first there were pins and screws in his arm that were being controlled almost like by strings, almost looked like a puppet. After that was taken off, he had more independence. But that was not for several months. And so for a long time, I was helping him eat, helping him bathe, helping him get dressed, anything really that he would need to do on his own normally, I was helping him do.
And taking him to his doctor's appointments and physical therapy?
Yes, he was not safe to drive. He was on so much medication for almost a year. He was not cleared to drive. So I was driving him to multiple doctor's appointments every day.
What was the physical therapy part of this like?
It was intense at first. He was very, very fortunate to have been admitted into the CFI. It's like the Center for Intrepid on Fort Sam Houston, the base. They catered towards veterans who've lost limbs. The nature of his injuries were deemed severe enough that he was admitted there, and he was going there multiple times a week. At first, it was every day. And I was driving him there, and it was anywhere from 1 hour to 4 hour sessions every day.
So, as far as I guess the traumatic effect of this on you emotionally as his wife, how has that been on you?
Incredibly difficult. I talked about how before this, I had kind of looked at him like he was invincible, and I had a sense of innocence, I think, and I didn't realize how much I was relying on that until it was taken away from me. And this experience has felt like a huge loss of innocence for me and for my son. I felt like I can no longer look at the world the same way, and I have trouble sleeping. In the beginning, after this happened, I had to go to the urgent care multiple times because I was having chest pain and heart palpitations, and the doctors told me that it was because of stress. And so they put me on, anti-anxiety medication that were short term. But I feel that I have been irrevocably changed fundamentally as a person because of this event. I started loud noises. I'm unable to sleep most nights soundly. And I have just a deep distrust of the world now. I can no longer watch movies because the violence is everywhere. And I notice it. There are lots of times when I hear people watching movies or playing video games or reading books, and I want to just cover my ears and scream to block out, because I just can't really handle any more violence. I can't handle it anymore.
What about your son?
My son, he's taken it hard, but in his own way. When it happened, he was 3, and he did not fully understand what had happened. And at first he kind of was asking me questions about it, and we tried to be as honest with him as possible. But when he started going to a different school, he was having outbursts of anger in school, and I tried to talk to the staff, and they just weren't very understanding or about what had happened. And they wanted us to have him diagnosed, and they wanted us to put him on medication to kind of calm him down. And so I tried to take him to a child psychologist that was with Battling Minds, who is affiliated with the police department. And I took him for about 4 or 5 sessions. And every time the therapist or the psychiatrist would try and talk to him about, what about your papa? How do you feel about what happened to him? He would start having an unbelievable outburst. He would start screaming, throwing things, crying. And the sessions were making him worse at school, and so I stopped bringing him. But his teachers were telling me that he was saying all kinds of very disturbing things. And still, he's in kindergarten now, but still, I have a dialogue with his teacher. And she knows what has happened because he has told her. And he makes comments all the time like, oh, Miss Greer, we can't do that because a bad guy might come and shoot us, or Miss Greer, be very careful because bad guys are everywhere and you never know when they might come and shoot you, or we can't go to this place because somebody might try and kill us. You know, he's constantly saying things like that. And every time it absolutely breaks my heart.
How has this affected your marriage?
I think when you go through something like this with somebody, and Nick and I had always had a very strong relationship before this, but inevitably something like this is going to cause strain, and it did cause strain between us. But ultimately, I think that we've come out stronger because of it. But yes, it has caused a lot of strain, especially in the beginning when, you know, we weren't able to be physically intimate, which it causes a lot of distance between you when something like that happens. And because of my inability to, I guess, bounce back from something like this, it's been very difficult.
Did you want him to go back to work when he was cleared to?
Of course not, no.
Did that cause fighting?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, I have spent over 2 years trying to convince him not to go back, that this is something that he wants to do. It is his purpose in life, and I don't want to be the thing that stands in his way of doing what he wants to do.
So how do you feel every time he walks out the door with that uniform on?
A sense of impending doom, impending dread. I constantly am cataloging things in my mind to remember so that I can use them later. You know, if I ever need to talk about him or write an obituary or something, I feel like I can't ever relax because I'm constantly waiting for another phone call or another knock at the door. And I feel like every happy moment with him is on borrowed time.
What would you like the members of the jury to know about how you feel about what should happen to Jesus Prado?
To be honest, I have not really had time to even think about the person who did this and what should be done to hold him accountable, because I've been so busy just reeling from the shock of what's happened that I just haven't had the capacity to even think about him. But now that this trial has finally happened, I've had time to think about it, and I just want him to be held accountable for what he's done, not just to my husband, but to me and my innocent little boy who's now going to be changed for the rest of his life because of one action that he took.
Nothing for everyone.
All right, defense.
No questions, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Do you get accused by the statement?
She's excused, Judge.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means, you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone or view anything about this trial until the conclusion of the trial. Do you understand? All right, if you remove the square microphone and you're excused. State, call your next witness.
The state calls Luis Lopez.
All right, if you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so everyone can hear. If
Okay.
you'll state your name for the record.
My name is Luis Lopez.
All right,
Can we approach very quickly, Judge?
yes. Right, state you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Lopez, how are you currently employed?
I work for IC Solutions.
Is that inmate calling solution?
Inmate Calling Solutions, yes, I'm sorry,
And how long have you worked at IC Solutions?
12 years.
All right, and is IT Solutions in charge of keeping a record and track of phone calls that are made from the Bear County Jail?
Yes.
Okay, can you please explain to the jury your duties as an employee of IT Solutions?
As an employee there, I track all the phone calls. I repair and manage the phone system. And also help inmates with their enrollments whenever they need help with.
Okay, and are you also a custodian of records for calls made from the Bear County Jail?
Yes.
In your employment?
Yes,
Okay, and is it in the regular course of business to make recordings of calls that are placed by inmates from the Bear County Jail?
yes,
Okay. And is it in your regular practice of business to maintain these?
yes,
Alright. And the recordings, are they recorded in real time when the inmate is making the call?
correct.
Now, as a custodian of record, can you just explain how the jail calls are recorded to the jury?
As soon as the inmate picks up the phone, the system starts talking to them and we record from the very beginning all the way to the end. It asks them for English or Spanish, and then once they go through the process, then it asks them for their SID number and a PIN number. Right after that, it is system asking for their name to verify, because it's voice activated. And if they pass through there, then they're able to make a call.
Okay, and when you made mention about a SID number, is that a unique identifier that's assigned to inmates when they're booked in the Bear County Jail?
Yes,
And is that how you're able to identify which inmate is making the jail call, through the SID number?
through the SID number mainly, yes.
Okay. And when making these phone calls as an inmate at the Bear County Jail, is the inmate notified that the phone call is being recorded?
Correct.
Okay, and then further, does the inmate have to state their name at the time that they're placing the call?
Yes.
Now, as part of your employment, are these all kind of cataloged where you're able to go look them up by a specific identifier?
Yeah, we call it CSN.
Okay, and so I'm gonna approach. I'm tendering what's been marked for ID purposes as State's Exhibit D to defense for inspection. So I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 16.
Okay.
Have you reviewed this prior to taking the stand today?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and when you listened to it, was it a fair and accurate recording of a call that was placed by an inmate in the Bear County Jail?
Sure, yes.
Okay, and to your knowledge, has it been modified in any way?
No.
Okay, and what's the call that's contained on State's Exhibit number 16? Do you know who was the inmate that placed this phone call?
Jesus Brown.
Okay, and what was the SID number assigned to the person that placed this call? Your Honor, at this time, I am offering this for inspection.
All right, your previous objection is noted, counsel. All right, the objection is overruled. State's Exhibit number 16 is admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Granted.
report any type of sexual abuse or sexual. At the end of your call, you can automatically connect to our case attention center. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. You may begin speaking.
Hello? Are you okay? Am I okay? Come on, dog. I'm not listen. Good, man. I'm good, bro. I miss you, man. I miss you too. You sound good. I'm good. Yeah, gonna hang up because you're not set up. I get you, man. I just want to make sure you're okay, man. I'm good, brother. I'm good. I can take care of myself. Okay, man. Bye. Love you. All right, man. Good. Okay. All right, man. Good, man. Good? Still good. Yeah, man. Oh, man, I love you. Yeah. Love you too, man. All right.
And Mr. Lopez, do you know what date that call was made?
The call was made on 11/3/2023 at 12:50.
Thank you. We've got to answer.
Any questions?
No questions, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall? Defense excused?
Yes, Judge, he's excused.
All right, if you'll leave the microphone behind, the rule has been invoked. That means you're not allowed to discuss your testimony or view anything in regards to this trial.
Yes.
And if you'll leave that with the court reporter, please.
A court report.
Yes. All right, state, call your next witness.
Your Honor, may we approach briefly?
Yes. A short recess at this time, and then we'll have you all come back. And let's have you all come back at 3:30, okay? You've heard some evidence. Do not discuss. Everything that you need to know about this trial is to come from inside the courtroom. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors. has properly authenticated the document. But what else as it relates to predicate, if you have anything else for the court?
Yeah, just that it's hearsay, it requires a person to testify to truth, the accuracy of it. And I don't think.
Accuracy as to,
What it purports to be. The information about the bond, all the information that attached to that information. I think it requires a lot of.
all right, parties approach. All right, then the defense's objection is going to be sustained if they have not received that prior.
The certification they have received prior, but the document they have because it's the discovery of
Have you ever seen the document prior?
Leave that document.
this.
All right, so here's my question. Jurors back in.
All right.
Yeah. All right, everyone, please be seated. State, call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state has no further witnesses. We would offer into evidence State's Exhibit 122, a signed stipulation between the parties regarding the bond amounts of the defendant.
Any objection?
No, Judge, that is our stipulation and the accurate bonds for these cases that are being tried.
All right, State's Exhibit number 122 is admitted without objection.
Right. Your Honor and members of the jury, the state rests.
Defense, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, Judge.
All right, you may call your first witness.
Defense calls Omar Hernandez.
Hello. All right, there's a microphone that's up there. It's square. If you put that somewhere in your lapel, it's for the court reporter to hear. Otherwise, you'll just have to hold it. All right. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, have a seat. Make sure you keep your voice up so everyone can hear. Oh, just have a seat. No, just have a seat. And just speak up so everyone can hear. All right, if you'll state your name for the record.
My name is Omar Hernandez.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Mr. Hernandez. Can you also just include your date of birth for us, please?
12/14/19.
You know Jesse Prado.
He's my brother-in-law. It's my wife's brother.
And who is your wife?
My wife is Monica Hernandez.
How did you first meet Jesse?
I met him when I started dating my wife. There was a 10-year celebration of a niece. That's when I officially met just about everybody.
In the family?
Family.
And where does the family mostly live? Like what part of Texas?
Dilly.
Okay. How far away is Dilly from San Antonio?
We're about an hour 15. It depends where we go, but generally an hour 15 now.
And what direction away from San Antonio?
South between San Antonio and Laredo. We're halfway between those big cities.
And for people who might not be familiar with Dilly, can you tell the members of the jury what Dilly is like? Is it a big town, small town? What's going on there?
Dilly is a small town, about roughly 4,000 people. And it's mainly farm town, small town. Pretty much everybody knows everybody. Small little bitty town. It's very unique. But it's united. It's everybody knows everybody, and whenever there's somebody in need, we tend to do a lot of those like fundraisers and plate sales and all that stuff. So everybody jumps, takes the shirt off almost for everybody. That's where I live. That's where I work there too.
And when you say Jesse and his family, are they those qualities that you're describing of Dilly, are they also those qualities?
Yes.
So you met Jesse at like a birthday party, it sounds like. Do you remember about what year that was you met him?
I would say 2011, 11, 12, somewhere around there.
And you said you were dating your wife at the time. Y'all since then married, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
As you became closer with the family and you became part of the family yourself,
Mhm.
were you familiar with the family dynamics?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how many siblings Jesse has in total?
Yeah.
How many?
Well, at the time, the oldest was still with us. Mr. Cantu, Noel Cantu, and then there's Manuel, Jamie, my wife, then Jamie, and then Jesse.
Because I think it was five, right?
Right.
5 siblings. Okay. And you mentioned Weather,
Mhm.
the oldest,
Yes.
and that's what everybody called him, right?
Mhm.
Okay. In Dilley, is that where Weather lived?
Yeah.
Okay. Describe for the jury, let's just say it's a random weekend and the family is getting together. Where would they go?
Wedo's house was the gathering. Wedo's house was the gathering point for everything, for barbecues. We spent so many afternoons in there. Barbecues, birthdays, Thanksgiving, Super Bowls. We're a sports family, so we gather outside with the sports and watch games, and but that was the dynamic was that was the watching point of everything, events and all that.
And when it comes to Jesse and his father, were you familiar with that situation, that relationship, or lack thereof?
Yeah, I had a general idea of it. And probably wasn't around.
Did Weddle become kind of the father figure to Jesse?
He was a father. He was a father figure. Or not.
And Jesse's mother, this time, was she still living? Or she still around? Like, what was her situation
Of
Jesse?
the mom?
Mhm.
Yeah, she's still around.
Yeah. But as far as getting together, though, people would go to Weddle's.
His house was the place.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember when he passed away? Do
Yes.
you remember what year it was?
21, 20, yeah, I think it was 21, 21, 22.
Okay. And do you remember the circumstances of him passing away, like the health reasons and all that?
I'm not exactly sure about the very details, the specifics, but I know that he was struggling in the hospital at one point. And then as soon as he came out, we got to see him, got to have a little conversation with them, and then went to the hospital, I believe. Then right after he got out, that's when he passed away.
And he wasn't, to be clear, he wasn't like elderly when he passed
Oh, no,
away.
no. He was 49, if I believe. 49.
And so did it come as a shock to the whole family when he passed?
It devastated us.
And how did it affect Jesse in particular?
He lost his father figure.
And when it came to him coming around, him being close to the rest of the family, did that have an effect on that as well?
It affects all of us.
And I think around that time, Jesse had already moved to San Antonio. And so he wasn't living in the Dilley area anymore.
He was living here in San Antonio.
And in aftermath of him passing, his brother passing, was he coming to Dilley as often? Was he out there in San Antonio by himself? Not by himself, but away from the family.
He tried to come back and be there for the family. It was not the same.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. What did you notice in particular when it came to Jesse after that? You said he wasn't the same. How so?
He's a broken man. That's his father figure. his role model. So it's not only a carnal, it was a father figure.
And I think you threw in some Spanish there. Do you?
Oh,
Yeah.
My apologies. Yeah, it was not only his brother, actual brother, but he was a father figure.
Now, a few years after that, were you made aware that him and his wife Monette had become separated?
Time after that, yes.
And I imagine it might not have been from Jesse himself. He might have heard about it. And then at some point, though, did you talk to Jesse about him and Monette separating?
We had a few conversations.
Okay. And what do you recall about those conversations?
Your Honor, I'm just gonna object to hearsay if he's gonna refer to anything the defendant specifically told him.
Sustained.
Without going into the details, do you remember like where the first conversation happened?
I believe the first conversation was in my house.
And again, without going into the details, what was the general demeanor of Jesse? Like, how would you describe that for the jury when he was talking to you about him and Monette separating?
It was a broken man.
And we-
Shattered.
Yeah. And what do you, sorry, I keep interrupting you. What was that last part?
Depressed.
Depressed. And what do you know about Jesse being his brother-in-law and his family, his immediate family, Monette and his children? Like, how would you describe that?
How I describe his family?
Yeah, and his like the family dynamic.
Well, what I saw over the years, it was a man who was always working for his family. Job after job, different kind of jobs. He was always a hardworking man. A man of conviction. A provider. He always provided for his family, make sure that his family had everything that he could possibly give them. And that's how I know.
And we've heard some testimony already about Jesse being mostly a blue collar type of guy as far as the work he did. Are you familiar with the type of work that he did?
That's correct.
What kind of jobs did he do?
When I met him, he was he was in the towing. And then time on and off, some of the rake work, the oil field work, and then the towing again. That stuff that for the doors.
Locksmith?
Yeah, the locksmith. And yeah, those kind of jobs.
And do you remember when he was doing the oil field work that he had to actually leave his family for a time? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you know how that affected him?
Well, he was always working. He was always working. And then whenever he had days off, he would come down to Dilley and he would spend time with the family, his mom, brothers, everybody.
So I want to go back to when you were saying that you spoke with Jesse the first time about him and Monette separating. Was that the only conversation you had with him about that in particular, or just what he was going through in general around that time?
I believe there was one more phone call, one or two maybe, yeah.
And those phone calls you had with him, without going into the details of the specifics that were said, would you characterize those phone calls as similar to the conversation y'all had at your house?
Yes.
And did you continue to feel like he was depressed when you spoke to him?
Yes.
When you talked to him, did y'all discuss your faith?
Absolutely.
And what do you know about Jesse regarding his own personal journey with his faith?
During this particular time, we had these conversations related to
I'm gonna object to hearsay again, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Judge, I would offer this more for the effect on the listener regarding his opinion on the faith of Jesse.
Sustained.
So, Mr. Hernandez, without going into like exactly what was said, all right, what do you know about his journey regarding faith? Was he, let's just go back maybe in time. is his family in general a family that practices Christianity?
Yes,
So I imagine he was probably raised in the church as far as you're aware.
yes,
At some point, though, are you aware that he stopped going to church or not being as religious?
yes.
And what do you know about around this time we're talking about regarding his faith?
He made a comeback.
How so?
Like the conversations that we had with her going into details, it was about the faith, but coming to God and get closer, establish a relationship.
And is that also something that have recently gone through yourself, becoming faithful again?
Yeah. At the time I was like probably to my third year, I became a Christian. I met God a couple of years back. And then so that clicked the conversations.
Between you and Jesse.
Yes.
And it sounds like you were offering him like your support through that process.
I try to be there as much as I can.
Now, I want to turn your attention to why we're here today. Okay. Do you remember when you found out about what had happened?
Mhm.
Do you remember where you were?
Yes.
Okay. Did somebody tell you or call about that?
You want me to tell you how I found out?
Yeah.
I was at home, barely coming out from work. I'm an animal control officer in the city of Delhi. So I got out of work, and then my wife got a phone call that all this stuff was going on here in San Antonio. So my wife and my sister-in-law, I believe it was my sister-in-law, they drove to San Antonio with the minutes. Plus they behind with my kids.
And at some point, did somebody tell you that Jesse had shot 2 police officers?
Yes, sir.
And when you heard that he had shot 2 police officers,
Yes.
what was your reaction?
I was in disbelief.
Why were you in disbelief?
Yeah, that's not him.
How do you know that's not him?
Based on all the years of relationship, he never showed me that.
So is it safe to say that when you heard, you were in shock, like that was
Yes,
something
sir.
that took you by total surprise?
Yes, sir. I was totally shocked.
So you're here today testifying on behalf of Jesse. And I want to ask you, I mean, you know he shot 2 police officers, right?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that what he did, there's an excuse to that? Do you think that there's something that excuses his actions?
No, sir.
Do you think that he should be held accountable for what he did?
Yes, sir.
Why are you here today testifying in support of Jesse, despite knowing what you know that he did?
Because he's a good man.
And do you want the jury to know, from your perspective, in the years knowing him, about that?
Yes.
And you mentioned you're his brother-in-law. You're not blood brothers with him, but you become close in his family, like close to all the members of the family.
Yes, sir.
And would you be here if, let's just say hypothetically, there was a different family member who you knew to be not a good person? Would you be here testifying for that person?
No.
Who passed, Judge?
State.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Hernandez. Excuse me. I'm gonna ask you some questions. Thank you. You mentioned that you're an animal control officer in Dilley.
Yes, ma'am.
Does that mean that you work closely with law enforcement
Yes,
In
very
your-
close.
in your hometown?
Yes.
Okay. Are you friends with police officers that, I mean, we're talking about this case, you know, the people that he shot are actual law enforcement officers.
Mhm.
Are you friends with law enforcement officers in
Yes.
Dilley?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If someone that you didn't know, someone who's a total stranger to you, did what the defendant did
Mhm.
to Officer Swain and Officer Viscara,
Mhm.
what would you think is an appropriate punishment for that person? Nearly killing a police officer and shooting them 17 times in the chest,
Mhm.
well, aiming at them.
I would object to the state's the evidence, Judge.
All right, that'll be sustained.
I'll rephrase you. If you knew some police officers who were shot at
Mhm.
17 times, and the offender intentionally aimed at their chest and nearly killed those officers, what would you think is an appropriate punishment for someone that you didn't know personally who had done that?
Whatever the justice system demands for it.
I'm asking your personal opinion. Would you think that person deserves probation?
I would object to ask and answer, Judge.
Overruled. You can answer the question.
You repeat it again, please.
Would you think a person who did that on purpose deserves probation?
No.
Would you think a person who did that on purpose deserves 5 years?
No.
Would you think that they deserve much more time than that?
Perhaps, yes.
You said that the reason that it shocked you that he had done this, that you were in disbelief, is because what you know of him is him being a good man, and there's no history of him doing anything that would indicate he could do this. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Given that there is no real history and that he jumped from 0 to 100, basically, how confident can you be that he's not capable of doing this again?
I'm sure.
But you were sure before he would have never done it, right?
Mhm.
And then he did it. Is that accurate?
Yes,
So how sure can you be that he will never do it again?
100% sure.
But you were 100% sure before, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and he still did it, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned church, and I just want to make sure I understand the timeline. At what point did Jesse and you have conversations about him getting back into his Christianity and going back to the church?
Before the October,
Before the shooting?
Yeah.
Was it after his brother's passing, or was it before his brother's passing?
after,
Okay, how about before Monette and him separated, or after Monette and him separated?
we had vague conversations about it too.
Okay, so I guess just for timeline purposes, would you say that the conversations about it happened maybe in between his brother's passing and the separation of him and Monette?
Yeah, in that time, yes.
Okay, and were you personally aware of him actually doing what y'all talked about? Going back to church, attending services, was he doing those things at the time?
Yes.
Okay, so he was going to church, engaging with his faith,
Mhm.
and then he still did this.
Yes.
You mentioned that he seemed depressed to you a couple times. I just want to be clear. You're not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, correct?
That's correct.
So you don't have any training in when somebody is actually medically diagnosed with depression.
Yes.
So that's more of like a lay person's opinion, is he seemed kind of down and sad.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. It sounds like this all kind of began after his brother passed away. Is that fair?
Is that fair? Yes.
Okay. Is he close to his mother?
Yes.
Very close?
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna die eventually, right?
Pardon me?
She's going to pass away at some point, isn't she?
Yes.
Potentially before him,
To me?
right? And he's very close to her.
Yes.
So if we know how he reacted to his brother's passing, it's fair to say that when his mom passes, that could significantly affect him, couldn't it?
Yes.
Is he close to his other siblings, your wife?
Kind of. Yes.
Kind of? Not as close as he is to his mother?
No. And of course, the mother relationship is different.
Sure. but she's not gonna be around forever.
That's correct.
And we've seen what he does when something, when he is affected by a traumatic loss. Now, you said that, he's a good man. Do you think that a good man, after nearly killing 2 police officers, 2 or 3 weeks later, would joke on a phone call with a friend about how he's $1 million weapon?
I would object, Judge, mischaracterization of the evidence, also relevance for this witness.
All right, the objection will be overruled.
Do you think a person who nearly kills 2 police officers within weeks of that incident would joke with a friend on a jail call about he's $1 million weapon?
I think that's correct.
I'm asking if you think somebody would make that joke if they're a good man and they feel bad for nearly killing 2 police officers.
I don't.
Nothing further on.
Defense?
Briefly, Judge. The state was asking you questions about what you think is appropriate in this kind of situation.
Mhm.
And you were, your first answer was whatever the justice system thinks is appropriate. Remember saying that?
Yes.
And here we have a jury of 12 members who are deciding Jesse's sentence. Do you think they're the appropriate people to decide this?
Yes.
Because they're the people of the community
Yes.
and they've heard all the evidence, including, now beginning with you, evidence of Jesse's character. Is that why you're here?
Yes.
And do you think the jury should consider Jesse's character and his whole life leading up to this moment before they make their decision?
Yes.
Is that what basically we were trying to say as far as what you think is appropriate?
That's correct.
I pass the witness, Judge.
Nothing further on.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excused by defense.
Same now.
All right, if you will remove the microphone, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone until this trial has concluded, and you're not allowed to view anything either. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you may step down. Defense, call your next witness.
It's called Jamie Rodriguez.
Okay. If you will take that square gray microphone and put it somewhere on your jacket. It's for the court reporter to hear. All right, if you'll raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that everyone can hear. If you'll state your name for the record, please.
Jamie Rodriguez.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Jamie, what is your relationship to Jesse Prado?
Sister,
Are you his older sister or younger sister?
youngest. Well, he's my little brother and I'm next, he's after me, I'm sorry.
Okay, you're just a few years older than him, correct?
Yes,
But I guess what that means is like you've known him his entire life since he's been born.
yes, sir.
All right, I want to ask you just a little bit of history to explain to the jury just about where you and Jesse come from. Where were y'all born?
In Bexar, Texas.
And I know y'all grew up in Dilley. When did y'all get to Dilley?
Years. I was born 78. About, I was 6 years old, 6, 7. My brother was 2. Around that time. Yeah, I remember selling houses. the young age that we were living in.
So what was once y'all got to Dilly, what was the family situation for Jesse as a young boy up until he got to his teenage years?
It was kind of rough having a single mother. I'm sorry, having a single mother. As I recall, my older brother, Pero, he became our father figure as we were growing up, a person that we would look up to. Me, myself, didn't really have a father in my life. So he was our father figure as us two were the smallest ones in the family.
Now, what was Jesse like as a boy?
A good one, he see you doing something he wanted to learn as you were mechanicing or something. There he was. What do you do here? What are you doing right there? And what can I help you with? Any tools you need, just let me know what tool it is that you need, which is the one that you're specifically looking for, and I can hand it to you.
Was he a troublemaker as a boy?
Oh, no, not at all.
I guess growing up in a town like that, there's kids that like trouble and there's kids that are more straight the line. What kind of kid was Jesse in that regard?
Jesse was just he didn't really have it was more of going to school, coming home and helping Noel and anything he needed at the house, being around him. It wasn't really like oh, I'll go to my friend's house, for example. He really wasn't that person to go out with friends.
As he got a little older, like once he got to middle school and high school, how would you describe him to the jurors as he got a little bit older and started to become a young man?
He's always been a good man, always, even in school. My mom never got called for the school. Having any oh, Jesse got in trouble for this, Jesse got in trouble for that. Not once did he ever get in trouble in school as he was growing up. He's as of now, like, he's a man that he's always shared for you, as he was when he was younger.
Did he have a lot of stories of like helping people? Just like some, in a small town like that, somebody needs some help. Was he the kind of person?
He was stranded somewhere, even in town, he would always stop. So if you have a flat tire, let me help you with that. He would see you parked the side of the road or wherever you're parked at, your hood was open, he would stop. We didn't have to do any help.
Now Jesse's oldest son, what's his name?
Marcus,
All right. Now, did Jesse have Marcus at a young age?
yes, he did.
Was that a child he had while he was still in high school?
Yes.
Okay, and Marcus is still around, and he's a disabled vet. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And when Jesse had a child early in life, like very early in life, what did he do? As becoming a young father.
He didn't graduate school when he turned 18. He knew when he had the child, he knew it was about supporting, having to work. He quit school, high school, and he got introduced to the oil rigs.
All right. So was his first real jobs, not just local jobs of helping people out and doing little things, but his first big job was in the oil fields?
Yes, sir.
All right. And who introduced him to that?
No, Bueno.
Okay, and that's Wedo. That's the older brother that we have heard unfortunately passed away too early.
Yes, sir.
So did Jesse learn from him?
Yes, a lot.
Did Jesse support Marcus?
Yes. Yes, sir, he did.
Are those responsibilities that you felt he took very seriously?
Yes.
When did Jesse start dating Monette, as far as you recall?
It's been a lot of years. Because I can't specifically say this date, but they were young. During school.
Now, how would you describe how Jesse and Monette were when they started dating?
Oh, love.
Once they started dating, did they stay together up until, I guess, the separation in 2023?
Yes, sir.
And so I know Jesse was 40 at the time this all happened, but they were dating in their teenage years, correct?
Never.
So I mean, that's over 20 years of them being together as a couple, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what family did they have?
Madison, the older daughter. And then Candy, the middle one, and the baby is my name.
All right. And how old are those girls roughly now?
20, 11, and
So how would you describe Jesse's relationship with his girls?
I mean, a father that wants everything for his kids. Very caring. And that is girls.
No, I mean, I guess all fathers love their daughters. Did Jesse's affection for his girls always seem different to you?
No, it's always love for the girls.
Was it just a special love that you saw that was just different?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you remember how long Jesse worked in the oil fields?
I mean, from one job, he went to another job, which is all considered oil field workers. It was all oil field.
Now, the oil field life, is that a life where you kind of go off for a week or two at a time, then you get a few days off?
It's the life that you leave your family behind to go and make a life to make a family life, support to be able to support family. Most of the time, it was more away than what being at home was, spending family time.
Okay. During these years, did he become a volunteer firefighter as well?
Yes, sir. I can't specifically say what year it was in Dili, but he did volunteer for Dili fire department somewhat on his days off. He was home from the oil rigs. And yeah, as he was needed, he would volunteer.
Did that mean he had to get all the certifications to qualify as a firefighter?
Yes, sir.
And so he got that training so he could work and help the community in Dilley.
Yes, sir.
Now, at some point, did he try to change jobs from the oil fields to a different field?
Yes, that's when he started for the record service. I guess so many years that he's been in the oil field, losing all the family events, school plays, sports of the girls. He made a choice he wanted to be home every day and have more interaction with his kids, school-wise, family-wise. So that's when he started going for the record service.
Okay, now that record service, that job involved him being involved with police officers. And what was Jesse's attitude towards police officers? When you saw him working as a tow truck driver?
It's always respect and active group.
Now, in the tow company, did he have to deal with police officers a lot?
Yes, sir.
How would he have to deal with police officers?
When it was caused an accident, you know, we had to tow whatever vehicle he had to tow. It was always interaction with police officers. Um, ambulance, you know, fire departments. Yes, sir, no, sir, question. You know, it was never no, something that he didn't wanna do or didn't wanna be there. It was always, he was back to blue all the time.
He had, um, he had some of his good friends too, I guess, who went military as well. Like, did his best friend go to the military?
Yes, sir, JB Cosmo.
And do you know that was a big deal to Jesse when his best friend joined the army?
Yes, sir.
How did Jesse feel about military service?
It was, go for it. You know,
Now, Jesse's circumstances was he had a family, and so, I mean, he had the oil field jobs and then some of these other jobs we talked about. But did he always have a big respect for military, firefighters, and police officers?
yes, sir.
So how did Jesse's life, progress up until, I guess, you know, up until Noel getting sick or Weddle getting sick? How was his life progressing up to that point?
It was good. You know, I mean, he learned everything he had to learn about being a father, support the family, always looking up to Will, you know. Yeah, that was just a good person for any question he had, you know. He really looked up to him.
Was there a point in time where he moved to San Antonio?
Yes, he did. They were in living in Diddy. I can't recall the years. Monet's parents were living in Diddy at that time. They decided to move to San Antonio. And Monet wanted to move to San Antonio because her parents had moved to San Antonio. So like they talked and they decided to move to San Antonio.
All right, and so is that where he started raising his family in San Antonio?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in 2021, I mean, that's when Jesse experienced a big loss for him. Can you tell the jury from your perspective what happened to your brother? Just the short version of how that all happened.
Okay. September 9th, he got real sick.
What year was that?
September 9th, 2021. He got real sick. He had triple stints like 9 years prior to that. On September 9th, he got real sick again. Ended up going to the emergency room. Like always, I mean, there was nothing wrong with him. He got sent home. A week later, he went to the ER. He got admitted. His heart, the triple stents he did had clogged up his heart again. So they did another triple stents. It's called a balloon. They opened up his veins. He was doing good on September 28th, 2021. He was released from the hospital. On September 29th, I believe he came here. He passed away. That was a hurt for all of us, the family. Me and him being his honest ones. That's what we were able to compensate for everything. Everything took a toll on us. After that, we all come different with it. You know, still till now, it's been 4 years already, and it hasn't gotten easier, and it won't ever get easier. when you do the other one, it just depends on how you go with it. So that was September 29, 2021.
How did that affect Jesse in particular?
A lot, because like I said, that was his brother, his older brother, his father figure. Whatever voices just he had, it was just a phone call away to him, but now we don't get that phone call. You know, now it's like, who we're gonna call now, or whatever, anything that we need, that he was there for us all the time.
All right, so Weto's loss was tough for everybody in your family, right?
Yes, sir.
And did you see Jesse from your layperson opinion get depressed about it?
Yes, because it's like a reach out, you know, I was like try to reach out and when you get no response, I got like that. I just want to be left alone because, you know, the depressed that you go through losing a loved one, but that really did affect him and it's got on him.
So certainly that was hard for everybody in the family.
Yes, sir.
But I mean, Jesse was dealing with it, right?
Yes.
Did anything in the marriage start changing when he was going through that difficult time, as far as you could tell, or did you not tell any difference for them?
I couldn't.
Right. So at some point, did you start to figure out that there was now a marital problem in Jesse's life?
Yes, sir.
When did, I guess, what year did you first learn about that?
And actually it was in 2023. In 2023 actually 2022 around December. Around December.
Okay, so that's the time frame. Did the marriage at that point start getting difficult because of circumstances in the marriage?
Yes.
All right, and I guess it is in evidence that I guess the start of that problem was just an affair Monette had. That's come out in evidence already. That's one of the things that was significant about that, right?
Yes, sir.
And so again, that's something in a relationship that happens. It happened to Jesse, and that was something that they were dealing with. Would you?
Yes, sir.
Now, at some point, did Jesse choose to like file for divorce, or at some point after some time, did he say he wanted to keep his family unit together?
Yes, it was always all my family together.
All right, so from the time that happened, I guess all the way until October of 23, do you know if Monette was coming back to Jesse and like, thinking about coming back, not thinking about coming back? How would you describe the dynamic from that side during 2023?
It was, he wanted his family back. He tried so hard. He would making choices of going back with him back and forth, getting his hopes up high that he was gonna get back with him.
Was that difficult on Jesse?
Yes, sir.
All right, what did you see that seemed to make things difficult for him? What were your observations about him as his older sister?
Well, I mean, when he made up his mind that he was done, we would have, he would call me or call him, check it out. He would be excited when they came home last night and, one thing led to the other. She's coming home, and thank God, thank God she's coming home. And then to find out she didn't, she wouldn't. And I would just, like, how are you supposed to move on if she's gonna be going back and forth, making him think she's coming home So there was no way he had, in his mind, he was gonna be able to move on, thinking she was gonna be coming home.
Uh, Now, Jesse was always able to support his family, right?
Yes,
Did that change at all during the separation where things got a lot more difficult?
what I found out, yes.
Uh, how would you describe Jesse's emotional state towards the end of 2023?
Uh, you know, men really keep things to themselves. They really don't open up. More less they don't want to ask for help when they really need the help. Found out that he was struggling after. I was sad because he didn't open up to me. He didn't ask me for help. But some men don't wanna be as if I need help.
Now, I mean, you do know why we're here, right? I mean, you know that Jesse shot 2 police officers from San Antonio Police Department, correct?
Yes, sir.
Um, I guess my biggest question, having been here for the last 2 years, is like, how shocking to you was it that Jesse was able to do that?
Very,
Well, why do you say that? I mean,
very, because he's not that person throughout his life. He's never been a person to even think about anything like that. It was a shocking to our family, and I got that call. It was just a shock.
had he ever been outwardly aggressive as far as like angry, aggressively fighting somebody or doing that at any point in his life that you ever saw?
No, sir, never.
Um, Now, like, I'm sure in Dilly, there were some people that were troublemakers, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was Jesse's personality when it came to conflict, as an adult, as you saw him?
He was really it was always a talk it out kind of person, no, not aggressive, wasn't about fights. Um, if it was talked to it, it could have been talked to it.
Now, is like, what do you want the jury to know about Jesse? Because the jury has to decide a punishment for him. There's a big range of punishment in this case. What do you think it's most important that they know about Jesse in making that decision?
Um, everything he was going through, the loss, how was he coping with it? I really can't tell you, because we all cope different. Going through our brother's death, our brother, finding out about the affair was just another bad day for him. I mean, it was just too much he had on him going on through the death, the affair, being behind on his bills, his house rent, holding all that in, not asking for help, but he snapped, mental breakdown from everything he was going through, and on his own, going to work midnight, late night, lunch, one the next day, having to be up till 2:45, pick up the girls to school, make sure they were fed, so the mom could come pick them up, when she was out of work. That was it every day for him. At times, my mom will come and stay with him to help him, so he can sleep and rest, because he almost had 2 accidents at work on his 18-wheeler truck from work due to lack of sleep. But that was a father from his daughters. He would risk it all to be there for his daughters, brother. He was ready to sleep and working to maintain a roof over their head, even though it was behind on his rent. That's him.
Okay. Now, a couple of the work things that you mentioned, did he lose a certification for the heavy machinery because of falling asleep? Is that something that happened before this happened?
Yes.
Sustained.
Okay, you made a comment to the jury about him falling asleep at work. What happened with that?
He got sentenced to not, he got, he sent him to the doctor, get checked. And, he has apnea. He was placed on a machine, so he can go to sleep and rest.
All right, now to go back a little bit further, just to tell the juries what you know about a couple of accidents that Jesse has been in. Were you there, I guess, on property when Jesse had an ATV accident?
Yes, sir.
Was it a bad accident?
Yes, sir.
What happened in the accident?
It was a 3-wheeler. He was cruising on it, back and forth, you know, we're standing outside my mom's apartment, we're just watching him go and come, hey, you know. One of the times, he didn't come back. We're still talking, thinking, he went the other way around, or all around, when, let's say maybe, 40 minutes later, my brother was taking off, my other brother, from my mom's house. And it just happened that he took off and he looked to his right side and there was Jesse on the ground with the 3-wheeler on top of him.
Was he unconscious?
Yes, sir.
Did he have to be airlifted to?
Yes, sir, he was airlifted.
Was he in the hospital for like a couple of weeks?
Yes, sir.
Is that an accident? Or did he almost die in that accident?
Yes.
Was he in another serious accident with his son Marcus?
Yes, sir, and son Marcus, the rodeo. They had a rollover. Pretty bad rollover. They were both unconscious. How long, I don't know, until help was found, you know. It was a really bad one.
It was he was driving it. What kind of car was he driving?
It was a rodeo.
All right, and what happened in the accident that made it so bad?
The rollover, like, just a rolling over, there was a light pole. That my brother Widow is pointing with the log, how high, where it hit, and how high it kept rolling up to the light.
All right, that was another accident where he had to go to the hospital for, that one wasn't weeks, it was a few days.
Yes, sir.
There are some, questions. I know you told the jury that you felt Jesse snapped. Do you think that he is a high risk of reoffending in the future the way you know him?
No, sir, never.
Right now, to be fair, you never thought he could do something like this,
Never.
but he did. He
Yes,
did
sir.
that. So why do you think that he's not ever gonna put himself in this position again?
That's not him. That's not him. Like I said, you know, everything he was going through was just piling on him. You can only carry weight so much, you know, and this, things just happen that way.
That's a witness.
State. Oh, it's for the state. I'm sorry, water. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold
Does anyone have any water?
I might have a bottle, Judge.
Great, thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Water, okay.
Ms. Rodriguez, what is your date of birth?
3/10/78.
Okay, and are you married?
No, ma'am.
Have you been married before?
No, ma'am.
Do you have children?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you been in a long-term relationship before?
Yes, ma'am.
About how long did that relationship?
About 13 years.
And is that with the father of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
Now I want to talk to you about your brother. So you stated that he worked in the oil fields, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you kind of described that as you kind of leave your family behind when you do that work. Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Because typically in the oil field, the schedule is like you're 2 weeks down, because there's no oil field in San Antonio, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you have to be going out of town, maybe to West Texas or South Texas to go work at the oil field, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And usually you do it for about 2 weeks at a time, and then you have like 4 days off. Is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you have to go back down, and it's kind of like a continuing pattern like that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then when we're talking about your brother's work as a tow truck driver, that was work that was overnight, is that correct?
What was that?
He was working like an overnight shift as a tow truck driver?
I really don't know his shift, but it was, whether it was overnight or during the day.
But at some point during one of his jobs, he worked an overnight schedule, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so typically that's kind of hard for a person to manage because you're up at night and then you have to get your sleep during the day, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and, so regarding that, when we are talking about, you know, him being away from the home, the family home, that can cause strain in a relationship and marriage, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and somebody that's working overnight, that's trying to get sleep during the day when normal people are, you know, feeding the kids, taking the kids to school and things like that, that can also cause strain in a relationship. You agree with me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so then I want to talk to you about your brother, Noah Gambu. Okay. First I want to express my condolences for his loss. Okay. And then I kind of want to clarify something, because everyone's been referring to him as Rebel. Is that his nickname?
Yes.
Typically, that's a nickname that's given to like a fair skinned person, right?
Yeah, he's a South Wales.
And so when we talk about that, I mean, he was your father figure as well as the defendants and all of your other siblings, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and it seems like he had a really big impact on your family. You would agree with me, right?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Because your brother-in-law testified before you, he got emotional and he talked about Weddle. And even Monet, when she testified, she started crying because he was a big part of y'all's family.
Yes, ma'am, he was.
And when Mr. Montanello was asking you about Weddle, when his questioning you became emotional because it's something that still hurts you to this day,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Always gonna hurt.
Yes. But somehow, the defendant is the only one that decided to pick up a firearm and shoot at 2 officers because of that. Or at least that's what Ms. Montanello was saying, right?
Yes, sir.
Because,
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
it's okay. Because you sustained that loss, correct?
Yes.
And you were able to remain a law-abiding citizen, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And as well as other members of your family, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so when we're speaking about, you stated that your brother, the defendant, he was always back in blue, right?
Yes, sir.
But you would agree with me that people can say things and then, or they can back them up with their actions, correct?
He was always back to blue up until that day.
Okay, and have you ever personally observed him with police officers before?
We have family members. That are
People that
police.
are not related to you or friends of you? No,
Obviously not.
okay, okay. So, other than people that are related to you or have some type of close relationship with you, you have never observed him interact with police officers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so when we're talking about him backing the blue, do you believe that somebody that backs the blue would state to their wife that they're separated from that if the police show up to my residence, I'm going to get in a shootout with them?
It depends on the, how, like I said, what's going
That's,
through
I'm
him.
not asking you yes or no, would somebody that backs the blue intentionally voice that they are intending to get in a shootout with police officers if they back the blue?
Yes, ma'am.
They would tell their wife that they are going to get in a shootout with a police officer?
No,
No, right? Okay, if somebody backs the blue, are they going to lock themselves in their house, grab an AR-15, set up at a window at a good tactical position, and ambush officers if they back the blue? No, right?
can I answer otherwise?
Go ahead.
Well, actually, honestly, we don't know his inside the house, how he was inside the house.
That
What
would not be
happened?
there, okay, because you don't know,
Yes,
this
we
jury
don't know.
does know, this jury does know. Okay, so you don't know, but they do. So the question is, would somebody that backs the blue take a tactical position and ambush officers with gunfire, yes or no?
No,
Okay. And now I want to talk to you about the emotional state that we're talking about here, because it sounds like you were in a 13-year relationship with the father of your children, right?
yes.
Okay, and what happened with that relationship? You guys broke up?
Well, he was also an oil rig worker.
Okay,
It just happened the other way around. He cheated on me.
he cheated on you,
Yeah, so,
okay,
you know,
and when you were going through this, did you decide to engage in the same type of behavior as your brother did?
well, no, we didn't have a death in our family. We didn't have our father death in our family when I was going through all that.
Okay, so let's say that somebody close to you and your family had died at the time that you were separating from the father of your children. Do you think that it's reasonable to shoot two people that have nothing to do with what's going on in your personal life?
No,
It's not, right?
No.
Okay, and so when we're talking about this, the fact that Renee cheated on your brother and the fact that your brother Weddle passed away, that does not justify shooting two innocent people. You would agree with me, right?
yes,
Okay. And then when we're talking about how close is your family? It sounds like y'all are pretty close, y'all get together.
very, very close.
Okay. And so when you stated that the defendant didn't open up to you for help, I mean, he really didn't open up to anyone for help, is that correct?
That's correct.
Even though you guys have a tight-knit, close family, and any one of y'all would have been willing to get him the help that he needed.
That's correct.
Okay, but he chose not to do that,
Correct.
right? And then I kind of want to talk to you also about, you stated that he was never aggressive. Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you believe that somebody that would slap their wife is aggressive or not aggressive?
I don't consider aggressive, but it's different type of slaps but it's us women might take it aggressively.
So you don't
Yeah.
think that somebody slapping someone is aggressive?
No, yeah, it is, it's aggressive.
Okay. Would somebody that is not aggressive threaten to pull a gun on their daughter?
That's when you're having mental issues.
Okay, but just to clarify, you have no background in mental health, right? Okay, because you would know that if you did, that depression manifests itself in different ways, right? And really it's not aggression, right?
Yes, sir.
It's being unable to get out of the bed, crying, wanting to be in the dark, not grabbing an AR-15 and unloading it on two people that have nothing to do with what you have going on, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and when we're talking about aggressive, do you think that somebody that is not aggressive would threaten to burn their own house down multiple times?
No,
Now, you just told this jury that you are very sure that your brother is not going to reoffend.
yes,
However, you were very sure that he was not aggressive, correct?
yes,
And you were very sure that he would never do something like this, correct?
yes, ma'am.
And you were very sure that he would reach out to you or your family members if he was going through something, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But he didn't do any of that, did he?
No, ma'am.
And so how can you look at this jury with a straight face and tell them that your brother is never gonna do this again when his life gets hard again?
Because we go through so much in life that some things that happen through life are eye openers. And I can swear all my life that it will not happen again. That's how much I know my brother and how much I know of a good guy he is. That day it happened, it did happen. It's what caused it, I don't know, I wish I knew. But I can assure you on my life that that will never happen again.
Okay, but we've already established that good guys don't slap their wives, don't threaten to burn the house down, don't threaten to pull guns on their children and kill them, and don't threaten to show up in court and laugh at their wife, right?
Right.
So, doesn't sound like your brother's a good guy after all, but we pass the witness, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'm just gonna object to that's an improper form. I asked that be struck, and that's commentary from the prosecutor. That
All right,
wasn't a
as
question.
far as striking things from the record, the court is not allowed to strike things from the record. But with regards to your objection, it'll be sustained.
Thank you. Right. Jamie, I guess if I'm gonna ask you one thing after that cross-examination. Did Jesse have a breakdown in your opinion on some level?
Yes, sir, he did.
I mean, you're not a doctor. You're not trying to give a medical opinion to anybody.
Sure.
But this day in October in 2023, did he completely change from the person he had been virtually every other day of his life completely?
Yes, sir.
Is there any history of him acting like this at all in his
No,
life?
sir.
When you use the word snap with the jury, what do you mean by that?
Snap, I mean by he snap, not, you know, it's like, how can I phrase it? It's a snap of just everything we're going through and of what happened that day. What made him snap? What made him act on whatever the consequence, whatever was done that day? What caused that snap? Because we had a call in the morning, 11 o'clock, actually, it was at 11. I called him, every year, on the birthday weekend, is my brother Will's birthday. But past 4 years. I keep his memory, when he keeps celebrating his birthdays. So I called him in the morning and I told him, hey, don't forget, my brother was, he's coming up. He's like, yeah, come on, which is in Spanish. He goes, yeah, come on, I know, I'll be there, okay. Love you, bye, bye. That was the last call we had that day. You know, that was the last call between me and him. About 7:15 p.m. is when I got the call about everything that was going on. And I was in shock, like, no, it can't be, you know, that's not true. When they called me, I said, that's not true. And they said, yes, it is. I said, no, it's not. She goes, yes, it is. And so I got in a truck and I drove over here. And it was true. And it's shocking because never, ever thought he would ever do that.
Well, and I guess when you say that, in the 40 years you had known him prior to October of 23, is there anything that indicated he could have done this on any level?
What was that? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, take your time.
It's,
I mean, you're certainly not trying to defend the actions. I mean, he caused a lot of damage that day.
yes,
You know that, right?
yes, sir.
You're not trying to defend that or justify that or make excuses for him, right? My question is, like, prior to October of 23, he was dealing with the loss of your brother, right?
Yes, sir.
He was dealing with his marital issues,
Yeah.
correct? He was dealing with struggles in life that he's not the only person. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
In the 40 years of history that you knew him, had he ever gone this direction where he made choices that were going to hurt people, like on any other time?
No, sir. Never.
Is that where your opinion comes from just 40 years of his life where there was just nothing like this, nothing?
Nothing whatsoever.
I'll pass the witness.
State, any recross?
So Mr. Rodriguez, when you say that your brother had no history of acting like this, in January of 2023, were you aware that he slapped Monet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did your family do anything to intervene or try to get him help at that time?
The only reason I found out was, when after everything, when they called me and told me that's the reason why she wouldn't come home, because of that slap.
Okay, do you think that's normal or peaceful behavior?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and so what did your family do to ensure that he is not putting his hands on a woman or acting aggressive and physically assaulting people?
What was that? Repeat it again?
What steps did your family take in January of 2023 to ensure that your brother was not physically assaulting people when he got upset?
We did not know anything until, like I said, when one had called me about that slap, which was, he has never ever laid a hand on him, him on her till that day.
Okay, so when did she call you and notify you of this?
And I can't recall the day.
Was it before the shooting?
Yes.
Okay, and so
Well-
when you found that out, what did you do to
Well-
help your brother and ensure that he wasn't, go ahead,
I'm sorry, it wasn't before, it was after.
it was after.
It was after that she said it.
And nobody else in your family knew?
Nobody knew, because she called me. And I didn't tell nobody. She called me after everything had happened, and she told me that was the reason why she didn't go back for that. But I always, I still communicate with her. And I just told her, you know, when it happened, you should have called me, I could have, had a talk, you know, of course, you don't want that.
Okay, so if you had known in January 2023 that your brother's slapped you in the, you would have had a talk with him. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's all you would have done?
What's I mean, it's a talk in steps, there's some steps we can take through what you call the slap. To me, when she told me, I didn't know, my reaction to her was, why didn't you call me, you know, when it happened? I'm gonna talk to him, see what I can do, you know?
Okay. So it's your position that you would have just spoken with him and seen what you could do about it.
Yes, sir.
You wouldn't have reported it to the police or sought classes to help him or therapy or anything like that.
To be on therapy, yes.
But now that I've suggested that, maybe you would have. Now I'm saying that you would have sought therapy, but you're not the best person to decide what is correct in treatment, right? You don't have no background in that. Okay. And so when we're talking about your brother never having a history of acting like this, back before the shooting, did you know that he was threatening his own children's life?
I found everything out after the shooting.
Okay, and so those things, right, him slapping, okay, him threatening to pull firearms on his own children, that's all escalating behavior that ultimately led to him acting out on his threats against two San Antonio Police Department officers, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
but you're swearing to this jury that he will never engage in this behavior again.
Yes, I take that upon my life.
Okay. And you would, before this happened, you would have swore that your brother would never do this, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's not really a safe bet to make, is it?
It's not a bit, it's just a story of my life because throughout the years that I've known him, like I said, he wasn't that person. He's never been that person.
But to be fair, that's your limited knowledge of him, because we've already established that you didn't know a lot of what was going on in his life in
Yeah.
2023, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Past witness.
Defense?
No more questions, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
Yes.
Excuse, Judge.
All right. The rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone or view anything about this trial until the trial is concluded. If you'll leave that. Oh, no, if you'll leave that,
Oh,
then you
okay.
may step down your excuse. If parties can approach. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the schedule for the remainder of this trial. I've spoken to both the state and the defense. There are going to be witnesses that are going to be called tomorrow. We're going to start at 1:30. On Wednesday, we're going to start at 9:30, and I'm saying 9:30 so you all have time to park and maybe have a little breakfast. No other juries have been called up this week, so you should be able to find parking if you arrive sort of decently, right, on Wednesday. Any questions before I excuse you? All right, please remember my previous instructions. You're not to do any research about this case. Do not Google, do not look at anything. Everything that you need to know is to come from inside the courtroom and nowhere else. Do not even think about this case outside of the jury box. All right. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors. All right, y'all may be seated and you may take him back so he doesn't miss transportation. And to everyone else, the jury charge has been emailed to me. You all will get a chance to see that and take copies with you. And then on Tuesday, if there are any changes. Thank you. And then if there are any changes that need to be made to that charge, we're going to stay Tuesday late if we need to hammer those out. And of course, your client will be transported back, so the deputies here don't have to do it. And we'll put on the record the agreement once he's present. Is there anything else? All right, and how many, we're off the records in here. How many more witnesses are you anticipating, counsel? Cindy? Just approximately.
About 10. That
Yeah.
are short. Two of them that I couldn't get along.
All right, so what I like to do in this court, I like to give the jury, deliberation start at the beginning of the day instead of trying to do it in the afternoon. So then we will definitely be ready for closing on Wednesday. And how much time are you all requesting for closing or?
I'm gonna request 45 minutes. I don't know what his
No.
main witnesses are gonna
we-
say.
Each side has 30 minutes.